Hello everyone and welcome to my online series where I am going to interview big name. He's Dr. John Gray. I'm gonna say some words about you, Dr. Gray, but I think that everyone know who you are. Everyone has heard of you, but first of all, welcome and thank you for being here again. And we just talked a year ago and it seems like it was yesterday, but thank you for being again here and welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be with you again. And as I've been to Croatia, what a beautiful country, and it's very fun for me to talk with you as well in your group.
Thank you so much. So dear ladies and gentlemen, a few words about Dr. John Gray. So I assume that most of you have the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. It's a legendary book. It's a world's known bestseller, and Dr. John has wrote so many successful books that were sold in 50 million copies in 50 different languages. There is a new version, I mean not a new version, but there is another book, Beyond Mars and Venus, which is, well, we could say that it adds up to this book, right?
Yes. It's just updating the ideas that are universal about men and women, but our new challenges today, women are often more masculine than they used to be. That creates new challenges, new needs, new expectations. They're more independent. Men are more emotional than they used to be. They also have more time to play games, and they want to have more fun, and they drink more. So what we want to do is understand those challenges, how to solve those problems.
Yeah, this is actually a great introduction. I have so many topics that we could talk about, because obviously you are the love expert on everything when it comes to both men and women. But I would start with the main problem that goes around and bothers women of my age, so women in their 30s, but younger women in their 20s, in their 40s, in their 50s, 60s, and so on. And that is, why, Dr. John, why men pull away when they should commit, where things should start off the way, I mean, when it should be magnificent. At that point, they pull away. They just pull away. But let me open this topic with my favorite quote from your book. So it explains pretty much everything, but I think you can add up to it. So when a man loves a woman, periodically he needs to pull away before he can get closer. This is perfect, and most women don't understand this. I teach this to my clients all the time, and I say to them it's normal that he pulls away. But let me hear your opinion.
Well, that is a central theme, one of the most popular ideas of that book, that women have been so grateful to me because they always took it personally. What you just described is a natural phenomenon. And what's great about my book, Beyond Mars and Venus, I explain the science, the facts of why that happens. Because often you can say, well, he just doesn't love me enough. He shouldn't be that way. And people who don't understand differences, they will say, oh, he pulled away. He's a bad person. You should leave him. And long before they feel that, a woman will tend to think, oh, what did I do wrong? Why is he angry with me? What can I do to get him back? And anything you do actively to pull him back actually causes him to pull away more.
Yes.
So think of a man like a rubber band. He pulls away, he will spring back. In a sense, that's the old wisdom. Distance makes the heart grow fonder. But that's particularly relevant to men.
I love this.
Now, so he pulls away. and then he will spring back like a rubber band. He'll desire. See, his desire has to come back to want to connect. If he's already connected, he has no desire to connect. Now, women have a biological need for connection, which is dominant. Men have a biological need for a hormone called testosterone. Men need 10 to 30 times more testosterone in order to feel good. So when his testosterone goes down, he feels not so good. His energy drops, his motivation drops, his interest drops. So he literally goes soft. So he needs to pull back in order to find his strength again. Literally detachment, disconnection, pulling away from intimacy rebuilds testosterone.
Perfect.
Now, women don't need so much testosterone. Now, if they're very busy women, then they're using up their testosterone. Then they will also understand a man's tendency to pull away in themselves more. But for men, it's 10 times more, 20 times more. His need, when he gets very close, he pulls back. Now, what does a woman do to sabotage this? She takes it personally. She feels, oh, he doesn't love me. She gives a meaning to that that's incorrect. And as soon as you're in a relationship and you feel, oh, he doesn't love me, that causes a fight or flight response in the body. Now that's biological. As soon as you interpret a behavior as, oh, he doesn't love me, then a fight or flight response occurs in your body. And for women, a fight or flight has a different effect than for men. For men, he will tend to pull away more in fight or flight. The first stage, he will pull away even more if he interprets a woman not loving him. For example, my wife complains, and then she notices I become quiet. And every woman knows that. Guys will sort of pull away quietly, unless they complain back, but they'll just sort of pull back. And you think, what just happened? What happened is he has to disconnect from you because he feels he's not being loved. So he will pull back. A woman, when she experiences, when she interprets his behaviors, he doesn't love me. Then what it means is 8 times more blood flow in her brain flows to the hippocampus. Hippocampus is the memory. So now she's got a flood of blood increasing in the part of the brain, which is emotional memories. And she starts thinking of all the other times he hasn't loved her. She gathers evidence in her mind to justify the belief. You see, she has this belief, and it's a stressful belief. Then the mind goes into finding any other reasons for it, and she becomes hyper vigilant to look for other indicators that maybe he doesn't love you. Yeah. And this is like, it produces so much stress in her. So if a woman actually has the knowledge, oh, he pulled away, that's not about me. That's not about me. That's about him. And even if you did do something that causes him to pull away, it's still not about you. It's about his low self-esteem in that moment. He needs to pull back. His testosterone goes up. And whenever a man has high self-esteem, his testosterone is 30 times higher than a woman. Yeah. That's where we get our sense of well-being, our confidence, our kindness, generosity, evenness, stability, anchoredness, groundedness, all happens in men when their testosterone is about 30 times more than a woman's average testosterone level. Now for women, the hormone for them, why they don't understand his need to pull away, is under stress. What she needs is to feel safe by communicating what's going on inside of her. Yeah. Okay, so imagine this is thousands of years of evolution. Women's brains have evolved. If a woman's in danger, what does she need to do? She's living in a village and there's danger. She needs to tell somebody, okay? She has to tell somebody. We know this is the blood flow goes to the part of the brain that has to talk in a woman. And there's 7 places in a woman's brain that get activated. Only 1 place in a man's brain. This is like amazing information when we learn the biology. But if you just think about it for fun, you're living in a village and there's a problem. Your child's sick. Well, what do you have to do? You have to talk to somebody. You have to ask for help. You have to go out there. Now for man, when he's in danger, men were the hunters. They were the guards. They were the policemen. They're the soldiers. When they're in danger, what do they need to do? Hide, be quiet, back off, look at something, detach. And that's what he does. So he pulls back and finds a safe spot for him where he feels good and his testosterone comes back up. For a woman, she needs to talk about whatever's bothering her. So when a man pulls away, women will feel he's leaving me. Why? He must not love me. And another reason women think he doesn't love you is because if a woman is stressed, she needs to talk. If she doesn't talk, it's because she doesn't trust her partner.
Yeah.
He won't listen to me. And even deeper than talking about feelings is asking for help. Many times women don't ask for help because they're afraid he won't say yes. Because if you ask for help and he doesn't help, well, what kind of a husband is that?
Of course.
That's why you find a man is a partner in life who cares about your wishes and needs. So, and it is a real science, a life lesson, actually, a wisdom of how much to ask for, when to ask for it, and how to interpret if they say no, how to interpret if they say yes. These are all dynamics that make relationships challenging. But to avoid that challenge, because women don't understand men.
Yeah, women don't understand men. Yeah.
They don't understand. They just stop asking. They don't ask. And here's an insight that I think is very relevant to everyone listening. It's a story. It's a story. Stories people remember. So my wife, she said, we wanted a little puppy. So we got a puppy. And when you get a puppy in America, you have to get vaccinations for the puppy, for rabies. So you take to get a license for the dog. So you take the dog 3 times. So my wife, she's all excited about the puppy. She brings the dog to the vet and the veterinarian. And then when she comes home, she tells me, oh, it was so far to drive. There was so much traffic. This dog was so protective of her. It was making all kinds of noise. There were all these problems. She basically told me how terrible it was to take the dog to the vet. So the next time she takes the dog to the vet, again, comes back telling a bigger story. Then she says to me on the 3rd time, she says, John, do you want to take the dog to the vet? And my first reaction is, no, I don't want to take the dog to the vet. Who would want to take the dog to the vet? You just told me twice how awful it was. And she says, I can't believe you won't take the dog to the vet for me. And I said, I didn't say I wouldn't do it. You asked me, do I want to do it? No, who would want to do it? See, this is all languaging here. You asked me, do I want to do it? Now, and then I said, but if you want me to do it and it will make you happy, I will be glad to do it. She goes, no, you're not glad to do it. You just said you don't want to do it. I don't want you to do it if you don't want to do it. I said, we all do things we don't want to do. Do you think I want to go to work every day? Do you think I want to get on that airplane, go on those long trips? I do all kinds of things I don't want to do, but I'm happy to do it, particularly because it makes your life better. And clearly I see that you don't want to do it. So if you don't want to do it and it will make you happier, I'll be happy to do it. And she argued with me. No, you won't, because you don't want to do it. I said, it's true. I don't want to do it, but I change inside. You see, men can change if they know that it will make you happy, but they have to be convinced of it. You have to make sure you let us know it will really make me happy if you do that for me. I love it. And he needs a history of building up to doing more and more things for you on a personal level. You have to remember, historically, men did not have to do lots of little things for women in the house. Okay. What men did is stuff outside the house to make money. And if a woman didn't have a job or couldn't make money, she was very grateful. And that was enough for her to feel that she was loved, that he would go do things that she didn't want to do, things that she needed done. And so she felt that love and support. But when a woman is out doing those things herself, okay, when a woman is more independent, then basically she needs other signs, other messages that he loves her. Yeah. And what are those messages? It's basically what women require is more attention, attention. And many women don't admit, I want attention. But yes, you want to be seen. Look at me. I tell men it's so simple when you understand women, or simpler in the beginning. It's simple. And then you become easy. You go in the room, you notice her. Anytime I see my wife, I see her. Okay, just go by and I just like touch her hair. I say, what are you doing? Just she feels seen, always being seen. Another one is what's going on? What's bothering you? How was your day? Ask a question about when you talk to so-and-so, what were they going through? Give her a chance to know that you think about what she thinks, what she feels, what she wishes, what she wants. See, women need to be seen. Yeah. It's an emotional need. And men, we don't realize that because what we want seen is something different. We want you to see how great we are. Look what I can do. Look how many things I can do. Look what I've accomplished. Look what I've overcome. Look how much effort I put into this. Whereas a woman wants you to see also what she does, but from the point of view of how much pressure she's under. Look what I've done. You know, I had to do this today. I have to do this today. She needs to feel empathy because she's not always getting the support she needs in life. And she needs her partner to feel that that's not so good.
She needs to lean on.
She's missing.
Could you say that women need to lean on men, and men want to feel admired in some way? Yeah. Yes. Appreciated.
And that word appreciation and admiration is a higher level of appreciation. It is, it's a hard one. You know, many women will hear that, and the women that are not getting what they need will often say, well, I need to be appreciated. And yes, you need to be appreciated, but I promise you, you will get that appreciation if you lean on him. Yeah. Meaning, if you appreciate what he does for you, then he will appreciate you more. But before you get him to do things for you, you have to start with what are you getting and find appreciation for that. And that's the opposite of complaining. If you complain, which, you know, when you're not getting what you need, you're in a fight or flight situation, this conditioning comes in. And for many women, for most women, the mind is filled with complaints. Yeah. But you didn't do this and you're not doing that. Or this mothering tendency comes in where you want to tell him what to do. You should do this. You should do this. And it feels... It's
a killer of attraction. When you mentioned this is interesting. This mothering behavior. This kills attraction. Many women, from my experience of working with women, not only my clients, but my friends, they believe they can fix a man. They can change him according to what they want. They see a potential in him. He could be a good husband. He could be a good boyfriend. I just need to fix some things. But that's not for her to do. She's not his mother. What happens to a man when a woman starts to behave like a mother?
When you behave like a mother to a man, but let me affirm the truth of her intuition. Her intuition is a man has a potential, and her love can bring forth that potential. But it's not the love that a mother has for a child. It's the love that a wife has for her husband. We're adults. If you're an adult, you don't want somebody telling you what to do. If you tell me what I should do, I can hear it as criticism that I did it wrong. And see, if you say you should wear a tie like this, then I feel like, oh, then I did a tie like that. It's wrong. So we translate that as we're not enough. And the truth is we're not enough. In your mind, we're going to fix him. And if you feel this thing, I can fix him, then we will feel that you're telling us we're broken. And we want to feel like you're a hero. So you really can't do that. And some men, you know, I remember my marriage, I'm this very sort of balanced, masculine, feminine guy, you know, and committed to being loving. And ultimately, every man wants to make a woman happy. And so I remember we got dressed and I put on a tie and went out, and I was expecting her to go, oh, you look so good. And she says, you know, that tie doesn't go with your shirt. So I went, oh, okay. I want to please her. So come look at my ties. And so she picked out another tie for me to wear. And so that was all fine the first time. Second time, same thing happened. Third time, third time, I went to the closet and she picked out something for me. Now, at this point, this was the newness, so I wasn't yet into much defensiveness. But what then happened, I noticed on the fourth time, I didn't pick out a tie. I went to her and I said, well, honey, will you help me pick out a tie? Should I wear this one or this one? And so basically, I gave up my sense of independence. I went too far to my female side, which makes men unattractive. which is this comment, the great phrase you said, to lean on a man. To lean on someone doesn't mean you're always leaning on them. It means they're your backup. It means you can depend on them for certain things, and you depend on yourself for other things. It's not totally depending on someone, but it turns out, a little science for a moment, biologically, if a woman is happy, she's making 10 times more estrogen than a man. Okay? If she's not happy, she's not making that estrogen. Okay, lots of things make you happy, but we can look biologically. If you're not happy, you're making less than 10 times the estrogen of an average man. Okay, now, if you're in love with a man, you're making 20 times more estrogen. That's what we talked about in the beginning, that feeling of, oh, this is so great, this is so wonderful. And why biologically men pull away at that time? Because he's having sex with you and you're wonderful and he's enjoying being inside of you. I mean, basically, and you're enjoying him being inside of you. There's a oneness that occurs. And in that oneness, what happens is a woman's estrogen doubles. So now it's 20 times higher than a man's average estrogen level. When her estrogen goes so high, then her testosterone levels start to rise and her estrogen comes down a bit. You see, they're opposite forces. So if a woman has a lot of estrogen, then she can have more testosterone without pushing down her estrogen to unhappiness. You know, it's plumbing. And I want women to understand this because often women say, I lost my sex drive. And we know that sex drive is testosterone. But for a woman, before she can feel natural sex drive, meaning her testosterone going up much higher than normal, first her estrogen has to go up much higher. Then when it goes so high, then the body says too high estrogen. So it brings testosterone to bring the estrogen down a bit, but it's still 20 times higher than a man's. So it's so amazing how the whole biology is such. So at that time where estrogen doubles, that's climax. And that helps her to feel a bond with him more than anybody else. That's like a drug, basically. It's that your heart opens. It feels so good. And the same thing happens to him. His estrogen level, because he's with her at that time, he's connected to her, his estrogen level rises and rises and rises to so high that it pushes his testosterone down. So for her, high estrogen brings up her testosterone, but for him, the high estrogen pushes his testosterone down to 50%. So literally it goes down. This is biologically proven that if a man has an orgasm with a woman, his testosterone afterwards will go down 50%. Particularly if he loves her. If he doesn't love her, this is all crazy, it doesn't go down as much, and he still feels his desire for sex to have it again and again and again, but always with a different woman. This is a sex addiction. This is what's happening to men with all the internet porn, is that the internet porn, which is a non-relational sex experience, when that occurs, the scientists have measured the hormones, and it's different. It's different from when you have sex with your wife. When you have sex with...
I wanted to say that that's a great explanation, because now you explained why men behave strange when they're not committed. You mentioned the porns, but go on. I just wanted to add that this is perfect. How you explained this, I think that women listening will now understand why is he not calling her and why is he disconnected and connected to porn.
It's one of the big questions that women have had for years, which is why men disappear. You know, particularly if the sooner you have sex, the greater risk of him disappearing. Because what happens is there's a traditional courting process of taking time to get to know somebody before you have sex with them. And you bond with them on the mental level by having conversations, and you like them, you're interested in them, you admire their point of view. And the secret there, women, is when you're having conversations with men, is be 100% authentic in what you think, even if it's the opposite of what he thinks. That makes you very attractive, as long as what you think is not trying to change his point of view. See, when women have contrary points of view, they're trying to win the argument.
Yeah.
They're trying to convince him. And that makes you very unattractive and alone. Okay, it's just literally, you can have your point of view. You're not dependent on him to agree with your point of view, or you're not dependent on changing your point of view to create harmony. What you do is you have your unique point of view, your interests, your ideas, your beliefs, but you don't try to change his. Now, what would be a sign of you trying to change his his beliefs? I was given an example of this. I have a friend for many, many years, and always, you know, they're a couple, and my couple, we go out together, and I give her hugs, and she gives such great hugs, only second to Bonnie, my wife. Now, and I told her that we're very, very close. Then one day it happened that we started talking about Saudi Arabia. And this woman is also a very strong feminist. And I just said, you know, I was surprised. I was teaching a class in Saudi Arabia. And while there's a lot of challenges there, there was also a very beautiful aspect. And well, what was that? As soon as I said there was a beautiful aspect, she was like women's rights, all mad at me, literally angry. That's all I had to say. And then I said, I'll tell you what was good. I went to a restaurant, and it was from 11 o'clock at night, which when it's cool, all the way to 1 o'clock in the morning. It was tents and open air. And there were thousands of people on the desert having dinner with tables and beautiful tents and everything. And nobody was looking at their cell phones.
Wow.
Everybody was having conversations.
That was really beautiful.
It was really beautiful. I've never experienced that, you know, and the men were not looking away at other people. They were talking to their family. The table was a part of a unit. And so I was just looking at one thing that I liked about it. Well, she just went off, and how could you say that? I mean, you're a supporter of women's rights, and how you would think that Saudi Arabia has anything good is awful. and it was just, and of course I never changed. I said, what I did is I basically said, well, tell me more why they're a bad country. And I said, well, you're right about that. You're right about that. And she said, so you don't see anything right about them? I said, no, I think that what you're saying is true. And I think that it was beautiful that they weren't so addicted to all of this electronics, and the families were really connecting. It was amazing to me how much resistance she had. That a woman has to find her authentic self in conversation first, then dating. He must do things that are useful for her. You can't do that unless you lean on him. You can't bond with a man if you don't depend on him for something. Bonding happens with estrogen.
Perfect.
And here's the scientific truth. The scientific truth. When you depend on someone, or as you said, lean on someone for help, for support, to fulfill certain needs that you have. So you're not alone. You're depending on someone, and you can ask for help. That asking and getting produces estrogen. And that's research showing that, is that when you're leaning on someone, when you get their help, when you can ask for help and get it, when your needs are being fulfilled by someone and you trust that they want to do that for you, estrogen starts to go higher and higher. So now you're starting to bond with him. And whenever a man can do something that raises your estrogen, it raises his testosterone more. He will bond with you more. So now he's bonded in his mind and in his heart. It's easy for men to bond through sex. But if he just has sex with you and no bonding in the heart or mind, then what happens after sex is that he immediately goes into his testosterone dropping. He pulls away and wants to find another source to bump it back up.
Yeah.
Now, what happens if a man has a relationship and bonding, and this is now tested, if a man loves a woman, he knows her, he loves her, it's his wife, basically. They tested married men. They found that when he had a climax with his wife, that the body produced another hormone that single men weren't producing. And that's the hormone that causes a woman's breast milk to drop.
Wow.
Okay. So, and right now, for some bizarre reason, I don't remember the name of that hormone. It might just pop up in my head. Prolactin, there it is. It's prolactin. Now, prolactin is a female hormone that's necessary for, for allowing women to do breastfeeding. But for men, when prolactin gets produced, as a very, very important biological reason, it inhibits his sexual desire for 6 days.
Really? This is very interesting point of view. When you look at it that way, it explains a lot of things.
Well, it's why typically couples who do have sex for a lifetime have sex once a week. And what happens is certainly in the beginning of a relationship, you have a lot of sex. And that's because there's a newness to the relationship. Newness stimulates high levels of dopamine. Dopamine will increase a man's testosterone. So newness stimulates testosterone. But once you don't have newness in a relationship, but you have comfort, see, now you know what your partner loves you. There's, you know, the same routines, the same person, it's the same naked body, the same responses in sex. It's familiar. Familiarity lowers stress. It makes us feel comfortable, but it also lowers dopamine. And if a man doesn't have a lot of testosterone stimulation, both in his personal life outside of the relationship, his work, and his personal relationship doesn't also support that high testosterone, so he feels that she can lean on me, I'm her hero, I'm the great guy in her life, she doesn't try to fix me, she doesn't think I'm broken, she loves me just the way I am, and then that makes my testosterone go higher and I become better. So all of this fits back together. But what happens is when a relationship's working, familiarity sets in. That will lower a man's testosterone. And so what happens is if it goes too low, then he seeks stimulants. Okay, stimulants could be alcohol. For many men, they have a gene that turns alcohol into dopamine. Now, half the population in America, where they did this test, mostly men have a gene that will convert alcohol into dopamine, whereas other people don't have that gene. So when they drink alcohol, it converts into serotonin and they just feel relaxed and sleepy.
Wow.
So for men who have low dopamine, they can drink and get some testosterone, some aliveness, but then they'll crash back down. And now, without having to drink, you can just go online with pornography. Pornography always stimulates super high levels of dopamine in a man and in a woman too, but not as men need the dopamine more because it produces testosterone for them. So what happens now is a man has sex with his wife and then he sees some pornography, gets all turned on and goes and has sex with his wife again that week. What's happening, you do this over and over and over, his testosterone levels will go lower and lower and lower. Research has shown, I'm just talking research here, and this is biology. If a man ejaculates on Saturday night with the woman he loves, what will happen? His testosterone will go down 50%, and that will be his normal testosterone level because it goes higher in sex. But it will go down to his normal level, which is 50% of what it is during sex. And then it will stay there for 6 days. But on the 7th day, when he wakes up, his testosterone level will be double. He's ensured that his testosterone level doubles. If he has sex twice that week, or even masturbates once after having sex with his wife to online porn, his testosterone level will always be 50% and it will never double with his wife. So this is an amazing phenomena. You know, I look back to my own marriage, you know, where we would have basically average sex once a week. And we always, for 34 years, had magnificent sex. And we're talking about juicy, amazing testosterone levels, double sex, and her estrogen levels soaring to heights. Now, having said that, for women, at least before menopause, there is a timing when it comes to the best orgasms. And that's going to be when you're ovulating. When you're ovulating, your body needs to double. The estrogen levels need to double. You'll have a higher sex drive at that time. You'll also have a higher potential for a magnificent orgasm. And women can only have that magnificent orgasm one day a month.
I was just about to say this. Yeah.
So it literally, all she really needs, men, just make sure she has that big orgasm around ovulation because her body needs it at that time. If she gets it at that time, then suddenly her need for him will start to go down. Then she doesn't feel needy. Women who are needy often don't have orgasm around that time. And women who are needy, or if they don't have orgasm at that time, they feel needy, they don't get what they want, and then they cut off from their needs. That's where you become picky, demanding, dissatisfied, unhappy, overly independent, believing I have to do everything myself. I can't depend on him. And he comes home to a woman who says, I have to do everything myself. I can't depend on you. His testosterone drops. And now there's nothing you can get from him because he's just going to go to his cave to try to rebuild that testosterone. And this is what happens in relationships. It's just so sad if we don't know how to regulate the Mars, Venus energies in a really productive way. And I'm just saying the science here now. Biologically, if I went on a romantic getaway with my wife, I'd have sex 3 times that day because we didn't have children around.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I look at now, how is it that me at 69 years old, I have the testosterone levels twice as high as when I was a young man? Twice as high. Why is that? Because I don't masturbate. I don't release my energy to strangers. I do it with my wife once a week and occasionally splurge. But even when we would splurge, always it would be after that, I would really get into my work and she would see, oh, he's pulled away. I have to pull away more after so much sex to rebuild my testosterone back up, because success also rebuilds testosterone. But it's not letting that pressure, like we should be having sex twice a week or 3 times a week. Be a man, I should be doing this. Because ejaculation for a man is addictive. It is the biggest addiction that there is. Now, after many years, and I know in Croatia, they teach this in some places, which is a form of tantric sex. And I highly recommend that if men really want to get to the highest levels, so you can have twice the testosterone levels at 69, there's a benefit here for you and your relationship to at least dabble a little bit. And the knowledge is there. It's in books as well, but it's how you can actually have sex a lot, but not ejaculate each time. And that's an art for men to learn.
That's an art, yeah.
If you don't, you have orgasm. You learn to have orgasm without ejaculation. Ejaculation is just the end of orgasm. You see, that puts it immediately. It's literally like there's a fuse in our body. See, love is energy. And that's estrogen. Whenever you're happy, man or woman, whenever you're feeling love, your estrogen levels are high. That's bonding, is estrogen. So when a man's estrogen goes so high, he loses himself. All of this energy is flowing through. It's like a fuse gets blown, and that's ejaculation. His body can only take so much energy, and it shuts down. So if you just go slow with the whole thing and just do kissing and touching and massage or whatever, that's a good beginning for the whole thing. So it's not like you stop physical intimacy. It's that you stop ejaculating more than 1 day a week. And then eventually you can get to the place you're so good at orgasming that you can contract your prostate as if it's an ejaculation, but you don't ejaculate. And you keep that energy inside of you, because that's the creative force that makes babies. And you can regenerate your body. And there's a lot of wonderful books on that, but that's very far out. I know it's maybe not the
but it's interesting.
One.
And now that you mentioned it, sex is very, very important part of a relationship. But what happens? What you mentioned before. So when people sometimes rush into sex. So if we are talking about relationships and about problems in relationships, it doesn't matter if the problems are about sex or about something else. There is a good chance that those problems could be solved. But if people haven't been emotionally attached yet, and they sleep together,
right,
and he pulls back and she goes like, why didn't you call? I thought you were different. You're just the same like everyone else. And he's like this, oh my God, she's crazy. And he forms his opinion about on her behavior. And she's not actually crazy. She's feeling hurt. So what can a woman do if they're still not in a relationship and they did have sex and she feels very needy, very needy?
Okay, so part of why women really get needy right after sex is you have to realize that estrogen is associated with need. So she just peaked out. her estrogen levels doubled more than any other time of the month. All right, now are the high peaks. So she's in touch with, I have it and I need it. And then suddenly he pulls away. And that's biology. He's gonna pull away. He's got nothing for her unless he already has emotional bonding and mental bonding. So because see, when men ejaculate, the energy in the lower part of the body is gone. He becomes soft. There's nothing there. And if that's the only place he bonded with her, then there's nothing there. And so he can't come back to feeling, well, even though I have no sex desire for her right now, I care for her. I enjoy her. I'm stimulated by her in other ways. And that takes time to develop. So you don't want to rush right into sex. So let's say you did rush right into sex. He's going to, and he's not calling you back. Understand that you're part of the problem. You had sex too soon. Now, let me first of all say what you can do to avoid having sex too soon. Because I know in Croatia, it's a lot of pressure on men. Men feel if I'm a man, I need to have sex on the first date. What went wrong? I didn't get lucky, you know. And women, knowing that, they're so pressured to have sex on the first date. And this is like around the world more and more, but I know it's happening in Croatia. I have friends there, so they tell you. And a lot of pressure. Yeah, and you know that a woman should be so sexual. We should have sex right away. And literally, a guy feels that pressure as well and feels like he's failed. He's unsuccessful if he didn't have sex with you on that first night. So that knocks his testosterone down as well. So that's going to make him want to find somebody which he can knock it up with. So you got to keep his testosterone up as well as avoid sex with him in the very beginning. So here's how it works. And I learned this I like to give stories to remember. So with my wife, Bonnie, one of her challenges, as with many women, is for asking for help and also saying no when pressures are put on you. How to say no, because she always wants to be so loving and nice, hard to say no. And this happened one day. I said, honey, would you pick up my cleaning at the cleaners? And she says, John, do you know I have to do this and this and this and this and this and this and this, and I can't do that. I said, I don't need to hear all that. A simple no is fine. And she said, I have to give you all the reasons why I want to say no. Okay, so I said, let's just practice simple no's. Let's make it easy. Just go, no, I can't. A simple phrase, no, I can't. I don't need more information. And she said, that's hard for me. I said, well, let's practice it. And she said, okay, I'll practice it. And so we're going to practice this. I said, yes. So that night I was making the moves on her to make love. And she said, no, I don't want to. Actually, she just said no. And I said, what do you mean no? And she said, I'm practicing no.
Perfect.
And I said, can't we practice everywhere outside the bedroom? And she said, no, because I know this is what you want to hear yes to the most.
Wow. Such an amazing woman.
So then at that point, she said no. And I said, I did some quick thinking because my testosterone went down right away. Sexual rejection is just mind-blowing for men. And so then I said to her, I said, so honey, I know you're practicing, but if we weren't practicing, would you want to have sex with me? And she said, oh, yes. Immediately, my testosterone came back up. And that told me something very significant about me and about men. As long as he feels there's a part of you that wants to have sex with him, he feels his testosterone goes up. It's just not yet. So that's what you have to say to him when he's making the moves and maybe you feel moved to kiss him. And the basic rule is never open up sexually more than what feels really good to you and comfortable to you. Don't ever do it out of pressure to please him. It should be when you're ready. And having said that, then maybe you're being affectionate and kissing and making out or something like that because the energy feels so good. Yeah, that's just the beginning stage. Then you stop it. You have to stop it as a woman. You have to say, oh, I need to stop now. And he says, why? He says, oh, I really want to have sex with you, but I know for me, I need to take more time. It will be much more enjoyable for me if we take more time. I just need to get to know you and have you know me. And then he'll argue with you, but in a nice way. He will just, And he might even get to the place of, don't you trust me? Don't you respect me? I say, oh yes, I trust you and I respect you. I just don't trust myself.
Wow.
Just take it on yourself. Just say, I know I need to just go slow. And then I know I will be so much more loving and supportive, and we will have a beautiful relationship. I'd really love to do it now, but I have to, my mind says I have to stop. And he says, forget your mind. We're in the moment. Why not? Let you have that conversation, because you know you're grounded. You know he's doing his job as a man, which is to try to convince you to let him get in. And your job as a woman is not let him in a nice way until you're ready. You're the gatekeeper. He's not the gatekeeper. His job is to knock. Don't blame him for knocking.
Yeah.
See, remember back to different points of view. He has his point of view. There's no reason why we should not have sex now. Don't you feel it in your body? And you say, yes, yes, that feels so good. Yes, yes. And I know I need to go slow before I go next step and next step and next step. And he says, well, when can we have it? So, oh, I'm sure it'll be soon. I just have to, I know it takes time for me. How much time? I'm not sure. It depends how much bonding we have in the mind and in our hearts.
Wow.
So you have power now.
This is amazing.
Also, you stay with your power, but you don't make him wrong and you don't reject him, because I'm telling you, all it takes is to say there's a part of me that really, really wants to have sex with you. Now, here's the next thing. Let's say you don't even want to have sex with him yet. A lot of good men that you could eventually fall in love with, you don't feel sex desire with right away.
This is great. This is interesting. And before I forget, can someone fall in love with someone if they are not initially physically attracted?
If it's a woman, yes.
Okay, you answered this very quickly. If it's a man?
A man will feel sexual desire for any woman that's interested in him. Okay. No discrimination when it comes to the sex drive. Okay. And so let's say you look, I mean, it's not any woman.
Not any, but
if I go and if I'm a man, I'm a man. Okay. So, and it's different now that I'm married. I don't go to that place of could I have sex with her. But when I'm a younger guy and I'm single, anywhere I go, I look around, I go, I could have sex with her, I could have sex with her, and I could have sex with her, and maybe her. That's our first reaction. Now, for a woman, her first reaction is, he's interesting, maybe he has a job, you know. There's a curiosity.
Maybe he has a job, women, yeah.
Okay, now that's if a woman has normal self-esteem. But some women have wounds from their childhood where the father was absent, either hurt the mother or was unavailable to the child. So what she feels is, I have to adapt who I really am to try to get my father's love. Now, the reality is she can't get it. Her father just doesn't, he's too busy, he works too much, he's not there, he has problems himself. So he can't consistently give her love. So if your dad was an alcoholic, for example, what's called a bad alcoholic, I think maybe they're all are, I'm not sure. Different standards in different countries.
Yeah.
Okay? And also men have different tolerance for alcohol. More muscle mass means you can handle more alcohol on a man. He can handle it. Less muscle, he can't handle it. But due to his own childhood conditioning, when he's getting high, drunk or whatever, he will either behave really wonderfully or really not wonderfully. Okay, so now if you have a bad alcoholic who irrationally gets upset about things, he becomes unpredictable. So an unpredictable father means that you have to feel responsible for their mood. Now, this is classic in alcoholic families, where if you speak up to that person, they get really mad at everybody. Everybody blames you instead of them. They're the one who got all crazy, but, oh, you triggered it. You shouldn't say. So you're innocent. They're the one who's misbehaving. Okay, now if that's the case, that's like crazy childhood. And so many people have crazy childhood. This world is a little crazy, okay? So to the extent that that has injured a child, okay, and that she feels, oh, it's my fault. I have to adjust myself in order to placate this person. If that's the case, many times that creates a pattern where you find a man who's unavailable a man who's dangerous or a man who simply can't be compatible with you, your intuition goes, oh, he's like my father. He can't give me love.
Yeah.
So I'm going to adjust myself to get his love. And for many women, adjusting themselves means I'm going to be really available sexually because I know that's what he wants.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to never, women, pursue a man more than he's pursuing you.
Perfectly
And if a man excites you, if a man turns you on right away and you don't even know him, and he turns you on right away, you have that pattern. And what you do to break that pattern is run into another room. Pattern interrupt. And one of the symptoms of instantly turning on to a man who's not available, he's already married, or he's real gruff, or he rides a motorcycle, he's got tattoos, and he's violent, and he's a drug addict. Okay, so any of the that excites you. Oh, I can give him what he wants, and I'll get what I want. That's not healthy love. Healthy love is where you slowly get to know somebody, and you can't have maybe you have a little excitement down there, but the bottom line is you need to think more in your head first about him, then in your heart, and then let the fire start.
Perfect.
Then it's authentic and it's real, and you can get what you need. So the symptom, if you're one of the women who says, I have sex right away with men and they don't turn up, well, you're having sex too soon. But if you're having sex with a man who turns you on right away, like you really want to have sex with him, okay, that's generally, and he doesn't call back, that means he was unavailable. And intuitively, you'll pick out the unavailable man in the room who can't call you back, and you're going to be turned on to him. If that's your pattern, only if it's your pattern, then the solution is to know there's going to be a period of time where you have to refrain from being involved with the men who turn you on, and actually only get involved with men who are interested in you, that are safe. They have a job, they're not needy, and they want to serve you. Now that changes the dynamic. Instead of you wanting to please them, they're wanting to please you. It may not be the right person, but you have to shift gears to where you can start feeling safe in a relationship. And when you feel safe in a relationship, then you practice these skills. In my Mars Venus on a Date, in my book Beyond Mars Venus, those skills you can begin to practice because you feel no pressure to please. As soon as you feel pressure to please, you're not in control.
You're not in control, and you behave. I always say it's in your behavior. Sometimes we don't leave an impression of people who we really are, become off as needy, insecure. Many women do that, and they just feel like they need to pressure him to give them what they want. So you would say that when a woman wants him to commit, instead of pulling away, and he already has pulled away, she should let him enjoy this time off, right?
Yes,
and
yes.
Should she let him contact her?
Yeah, well, there's a subtlety to that. Okay, so that's you're talking about the stages of
if
dating,
he's a normal guy, not the violent one, and not
not the weird guy,
like a normal neighborhood guy. If he has potential,
a normal neighborhood guy, you're going to connect, okay, and you're a normal neighborhood woman, and you don't have big father issues.
Yeah.
So you're getting to know each other. You're getting excited. This is fun. You're getting a need met, and you're dating. So there's some attraction back and forth. Okay, now you got this attraction. Then if you start to feel, oh, this is really maybe someone I can open my heart to, okay, it has some substance, you're going to go into higher estrogen levels. He's going to go into lower testosterone levels.
Yeah.
Okay, what that means, you're going to feel a greater need for him. It's kind of like, I don't know if I really can depend on him. Oh, I can depend on him. So now your estrogen goes up. I can depend on him. But with that, your estrogen goes up. He's going to go into doubting if you're the right person at that point. He's going to pull back. He's going to not feel sexual desire for you. That's normal. See, men don't know that that's normal, unfortunately. Yeah. So that's how you actually bond with a woman, is feeling attracted to her and not attracted to her, and attracted to her and not attracted to her. So that at those times when you're in your cave, you know that the attraction is going to come back.
Yeah.
There's a bonding that happens as you go back and forth like that. And that's the second stage, which is uncertainty stage. She's feeling needy because she's uncertain whether he's going to give her more. You know, is he really, I think he's the one, but is he really the one? I need reassurance at that time. Don't seek reassurance at that time. Give him the space to pull back and find his confidence again, because he's lost it. He's not sure you're the right one for him. So his testosterone goes down. He has to rebuild his testosterone. Now, once he does that, he doesn't call you. Now, your tendency is to say, why didn't you call? Didn't you like the date? You want to interview him. You want to express his feelings. You want to find out what's wrong. We can make it work. What's wrong with you? Yeah, this whole backwards thing happens. It sabotages the relationship. So when he pulls away, you had mentioned, give him his space. Don't go after him. That's part of it. The other part of it is do things at that time to restore your sense of security, which is look at other needs that you have and fulfill them. Because estrogen goes up, not just because you need a man, it goes up because you need a doctor. It needs to go up because you need work, you need friends, you need entertainment, you need fun. We have all these needs like vitamins inside of us. And what happens, I call them love tanks. That's in this book called How to Get What You Want and Want What You Have. Have you read that book?
Not yet, but this is the second book on my list, the next book on my list.
Okay. Beyond Mars and Venus, so good. But How to Get What You Want, in that book, I talk about how to make sure you get what you want. You have to have a foundation of what you need. And what we need is not just an intimate relationship. That's only one of our needs. It's like vitamins. Is this, imagine we have 10 vitamins that you need. And you have all 9 of those vitamins, but you're missing vitamin D. That would be sunshine. You will be depressed. You will be lonely. You'll be unhappy. And suddenly the sun comes out, vitamin D comes, and you feel great. Why do you feel great on a sunshine day? Because it gives you all this vitamin D that you were missing. So now you feel, wow, I feel so good. I'm outside. And it only makes you feel great because you were low in vitamin D and because you had all the other vitamins. But if you didn't have all the other vitamins, the sun would come out, you'd get vitamin D and it wouldn't work. Yeah. You see, you need all of them to feel whole. So what happens is when that man pulls away, you're connecting, you're filling up vitamin D, you're getting all this vitamin D, it feels so good. But he needs to find his other sources of testosterone production other than you. And you need to find your other sources of estrogen other than him. Because while you're focusing all your attention on him, you're ignoring your girlfriends, you're ignoring other things in your life. You're putting all this time with him. And women are notorious for doing that. You know, it's when they break up, suddenly they go back to all their friends.
Yeah.
And then and I it's just the nature of things. If you get a lot of vitamin D, then you have to also keep getting your other vitamins. So when he pulls away and you're feeling needy, you don't need him at that time. What you need is personal growth. That's another need. Self-reflection. Why am I feeling so insecure? What you need is good diet. What you need is exercise. What you need is friendship. What you need is some kind of authority figure in your life, someone you can lean on to get help, whether it be a doctor, a mentor, or listening to you talk, coaching and all that. These are needs that we have. Every person requires that, or at least read books of people who are very religious. They'll read the Bible. That's a need for them. If they become more scientific, then they need some kind of mentor that has knowledge that they didn't have. That's education. We all have those needs, and a relationship cannot continue to fill you up if you're not also meeting those needs. So in simple terms, you feel all this attraction, you're kind of addicted to your partner, you're thinking about them all the time, they're making you so happy. It's going to go the opposite direction. At that time, he needs to take time to rebuild his testosterone, not depending on her. She needs to take time to find her other needs and not feel she needs him so much. Come back to feeling good. So there's no attachment to him, and let him come back to her. The key is, think about that rubber band we talked about. He pulls away. If you run after him, he keeps pulling away. It never stretches so that he springs back. Okay, so that's the simple metaphor on that one. And what men have to know, and this is sad that men don't know this, but see what happens when men pull away. Now there's no interest in her temporarily for sex. If if he has somewhat of a sexual addiction because he's masturbating all the time, what will happen is then he will feel attracted to another woman, and because she will raise his testosterone because she's new and different. Or he'll go online and do it. New and different is always going to stimulate testosterone, but afterwards it lowers your testosterone. So typically what happens for some guys, their pattern is they lose interest in her sexually. Then what happens is they suddenly feel their testosterone starting to come up and they masturbate, and that causes them to crave sex, and they'll find another woman who will look prettier than his current partner. The grass at that point is always greener on the other side of the fence. It's what happens. So then he has sex with that woman, loses interest in her. And now this first woman, he's now interested in you. So he can't make up his mind. He's going back and forth. Or he goes one after another, until he's, 40 and feels like, why don't I have love in my life, or 50, even some men, because they have sex with too many different women. They never get a chance to learn what it's like to bond with a woman, which means to connect with her after you've gotten mind connection, heart connection, sexual connection. Then you go to the doubting stage, and in the doubting stage, don't masturbate and don't have sex with anybody else, but have other things in your life that stimulate testosterone. But men get so fixated, low self-esteem men just go to pornography or easy sex to get a boost in testosterone, as opposed to self-help work, their job, their work, being a good person, being selfless, helping people. These things all produce testosterone, which is why I wrote Beyond Mars and Venus, which is what men can do for themselves to raise their testosterone, what women can do for themselves to raise their estrogen. So we're not so needy to the support of our partners. And then this book is explaining the How to Get What You Want book. Such a good book about our different emotional needs, because romance, intimacy, relationship, only one of them, we have all these emotional needs. And if we don't fulfill all of them, then the relationship can't thrive. So literally for me, I just saw it so clearly as, I was having such great sex with Bonnie and loving her and spending all this time with her. And then it just stopped. There was just, I thought, how could I, this attractive naked woman who used to turn me on, not turn me on. And then I realized, I needed to start looking at my other love tanks. I call them love tanks. They're beloved vitamins. And here's one there's many, many techniques in this book, but here's one, which is I realized, okay, I'm no longer feeling my attraction and passion for her. I need to work on my relationship with my mother. So, and I have a nice relationship with my mother. She's in another state. I rarely talk to her. I thought, I think I'm making Bonnie more like my mother, because she would cook for me and do things for me kind of like my mother did. So now you can't feel sexual towards your mother. So I would call up my mother, and it's shifted things in a couple of weeks. I just, I say, hey, Mom, I'm thinking about buying a new car. And then she would go into her loving mother. Well, have you checked the prices? Are you sure you need it? And why you do? That's appropriate for a mother to teach a son. So I got to feel the part of me that was like, don't you get, I'm a grown up, and feel a little annoyed and irritated. But I just practiced saying, well, tell me more. I wanted to get her to the point where she was annoying me and irritating me, because that's the feelings that were inside of being, having a mother control you instead of my wife. Okay, so now I got to put those feelings on my mother and not on my wife, because I love my wife. There's no reason to be annoyed and irritated with her. But they were those feelings of annoyance were down there from my childhood, of my mother sort of a bit smothering me at times.
Every mother does it.
Hey, Mom, I'm a teenager. I can do this myself. Back off. So I got the experience for a couple of weeks. I just talked to my mother, tell her decisions I wanted to make. And she always wanted to give me advice and how to make sure I was doing it better. And like up to the point where I just feel annoyed and I can't take this anymore. Yeah, but I'd be very nice to her. So, well, that's all really helpful, Mom. Thank you. It really makes sense. It's going to help me make my decision. I'm so glad I could call you.
Wow.
And what happened, my sex drive came back because I was looking at feelings from my childhood. Now that's one way to do it. It's also go to a counselor, a therapist, and process feelings. That's self-love, is learning to reflect on any negative emotion you have and let it go. You see, one of the things that, this is also in this book, you know, all my books have a little bit about how to process emotions. What we do trying to be positive is ignore our negative emotions, and then they build up and they control us. So they're there. Yes. We can't stop them. We can't let them go. So what we have, part of self-love is to be able to reflect on anything negative inside of ourselves, our negative emotions, and question them. And why do I feel that? With like the way a loving, nurturing parent would do towards ourselves. And why do I feel that? And why do I feel that? Always in the context of all negativity is wrong, but it's right to feel it. Okay, I'm not a wrong person for having negativity. Let's say I'm angry. Let's say you're feeling hurt by your partner. That's a real feeling, but it's based upon a belief that's not correct. Yeah. That's what I mean, it's wrong. Don't trust your feelings. Everybody says, trust your feelings. No, only trust your feelings when they're loving. Yeah. That's when your authentic self is there. But, you know, don't tell me I don't feel angry. Don't tell me I'm not angry or I'm not sad, or don't tell me I shouldn't feel this. No, it's absolutely true. That's what I feel. So I don't question it. No, every negativity should be questioned and released. And by understanding it with love, with acceptance, with empathy, self-compassion, that's a power that we have as adults. Children don't have that power. We have it as adults. Previous generations didn't have that power. This is a new thing, the ability to self-reflect. That's called self-realization, which is the ability to look inside at what I feel and question it. Always question it. If it's negative, don't act on it. And you're buying into fake news. I mean, it really is fake news. It's when he pulls today, what we called him going to his cave, the woman would see that as, oh, he doesn't love me. Now we know he does love you. He just has to take care of himself at that time. It's not about
It's about
you.
him.
You see, it's about him. This is, you know, when we get upset with our partners, we're always taking things personally. It's not about you. It's about him at that moment. She's having a bad day. He's having a bad day. She needs her estrogen to go up. He needs his testosterone to go up. You know, if my wife was upset with me, sometimes she'd get really upset. In my mind, I would go, okay, this doesn't mean she doesn't love me or appreciate me. See, men always want to feel appreciated. It's not that she doesn't appreciate me. It just sounds that way because she's pointing out things I haven't done. And if I argue with her, she'll just find more things. So don't argue with her, but say, okay, tell me more. Well, help me understand that better. I do want to be the best I can be. And not much solution, just help me understand better. And she would always feel better afterwards. And I would go, oh, okay. I just let her estrogen go up.
Perfect.
When women, when they don't feel heard, their estrogen goes down. If they feel heard, their estrogen goes up.
Yeah, I can say this as a woman. If I think that I am not heard, this upsets me. Even though I am a relationship coach, dating coach, but I recognize this in my own relationship. If I think that I'm not being heard, this upsets me, even though I know the background of this. But it's something natural to us women. So I love that you mentioned this. It's just how we function. And if we understand,
it's biological.
If we understand men, I mean, most of women are going to listen to this video. And if we women understand men, it becomes very simple. Because
now let me help all the women who want to be heard by a man. Okay, because all women say, oh, he doesn't listen, he doesn't listen, he doesn't listen. That's because what he's hearing doesn't flatter him. Okay, he has needs too.
Perfect.
Okay, so this is the first thing you say. This almost works every time. Okay, nothing is perfect. Okay, so you mentioned some problem. Okay, honey, you didn't call me last night, or you know, I had to do this all by myself because you were late. So don't say that right away. You just say, honey, I just need to talk to you for a few minutes. It's not a big deal. As soon as a woman says we need to talk, a man is already in a cortisol response. He can't hear a word you say. He'll defend everything to his dying day. You'll argue and fight. He can't hear it if he's in fight or flight. If you're in fight or flight, blood flow stops to this part of the brain where you can actually hear a different point of view. It's all your point of view is right. So this is how he's wired up. He has to be right. You married him because you think he's right. You know, if a guy loses all the time, you don't marry him. Our survival, our ability to be loved is being right. Okay, so As soon as, and empathizing is hearing another point of view. Doesn't even mean I'm wrong. It just means another point of view is also valid. He can't get to the part of his brain to even be interested in that, to validate you, to hear your point of view, to go outside of himself and make a change inside of himself. Anytime you validate something outside of you, you are different. You change, well, he will change just by hearing what you say without you trying to change him. If you try to change him, his wall goes up.
He's not listening.
If you don't try to change him, so here's the dynamic. Why do you talk? You talk to be heard rather than talk to change him. Let's just look at that again. Often women complain, talk, because they want to change him. Try to diminish that as much as you can. And one of the ways you can diminish it as much as you can is first have a reason to share. The reason you want to share is so you'll feel better, because you want to feel heard, you want to feel seen, you want to be understood. And it helps you to come back to who you are if you talk about what you feel and think, because that's a need you have. Okay, so that's the first reason, not to change him, but to change you. I'm not feeling loving. I want to feel more loving. So I need to share with you. I want to get naked with you on an emotional level to feel better. Okay, so that's the real reason. But the second, that's hard to always be in that place. I get it. You know, we want to change our partners. We're all not perfect beings. Okay, so here's how you get them to listen. You just simply say the words. You say, you know, I just need to talk for a few minutes. This is not a big deal. That's the $1 million phrase. We're going to end this conversation very soon. And I want you to remember that, women. That's the most important thing you can say. You want a man to hear you. Oh, I'm so glad to see you. I just want to talk about something. It's not a big deal. Or if something upset you a lot, you want to talk to him about it. You say, you know, the other day, this happened. It's not a big deal. As soon as you say this happened, and I just want to talk about how I feel for 3 minutes or for 4 minutes. Give it a time limit. Then he'll hear you as well. It's not a big deal. There's a time limit. And I don't really want you to say anything. I don't want to have a conversation about it. I just want you to understand how I feel, and I'm going to go in for a hug and I'll feel so much better. This is not a conversation to decide how we're going to solve this problem. Now you can have conversations to solve a problem, and that's called a Mars talk. This is a Venus talk. That means she's talking and he's not
listening. Yeah.
I don't need you to fix this or solve anything. I know that if you just know what I go through, that you'll think of it more often. You know, just basically, we're not trying to solve it. Don't need to solve it. I just need to understand sometimes how I feel, and it's not a big deal. This is how I felt, and now I feel better. And nobody's perfect. You have to say something like, I still love you.
Yeah.
I mean, but not that. You just have to make it, you resolved it inside yourself. You know, I love you. And if you can do something to keep this from happening in the future, that's great. It's not a big deal. I love you. The more you diminish the importance of something, the more importance he'll put on it. That's men.
That's men.
Okay. That's just who he is. But you got to communicate. If you can have emotions in that, oh, you know, when you were late, I just felt so scared that I didn't know where you were. You know, I depend on you. And then I thought, why do I even bother making a dinner if you don't even call? I feel like I don't even want to talk to you. But I know you love me and I do care about you. I'm just going to come in for a hug, and I feel better being able to talk about that. Yeah, you talk for 2 or 3 minutes about how you felt, and then he'll hear it. He'll want to give you all the reasons you shouldn't feel that. Oh, well, I didn't call you because I was busy making the money so that we could have this house, you know, and have the children. He's always going to defend unless you just simply say, it's not a big deal. Please don't say anything. Just hear what I'm feeling. And then I'll feel better, and I'll go in for the hug, and everything will be fine. Let him. And I know you're, as a woman, you think, but then he won't change. He won't change. Yeah. Yes, he will. The more you let go of your attachment to changing him, the more he'll change for you. And your dream of your intuition of who he can be will be realized. Control without control. Yeah. You can bring forth the man you saw inside of him when you stop trying to fix him, allow him to fix you. Fix you. You're the one who's upset. Yeah. You're the one who's negative. Your heart is closed. You're the one who's overreacting, because anytime you're not loving, you're overreacting from my point of view. And whenever men are underreacting, they're not loving. That's where we go. Oh, no big deal. It doesn't care. Oh, why are you worrying so much? This is not a problem. So that's what we stupidly do. Everybody goes out of balance. So just allow him to just go, even if it is a big deal, but you remember what you need most is to be heard.
Yeah.
So you say to him, it's not a big deal. I just want to talk for 3 or 4 minutes about what's going on inside of me, how I feel. And even when you're dating, you know, when you're having conversations, just because it's not a big deal. And the big question you ask is, if you had sex too soon and he pulls away, what do I do? Don't go after him, but every week or twice a week, send him a picture on your phone. Oh, I was just with so-and-so and you're happy. A picture of you happy and was thinking about our date. It was so much fun. And let it be.
Let it be.
So he gets the message. He gets the message. You're happy, you're not needy, and you're not blaming him, and you're not mad at him for not calling. Because so many women in his past, he has poofed, he disappeared. And when he did finally come back, when his testosterone comes up, could be 2 weeks later, could be a month later, his testosterone comes back up. He thinks about you with desire.
Yeah.
And he thinks, I'm going to give you a call. And then he calls the first time he did this. She goes, why didn't you call? How dare you call me? You just didn't do it all. I mean, you put me through all this stuff. I can't trust you. And he gets slapped and slapped and slapped. So he already knows that. See, we've had that experience. So we think about, oh, I want to call her. Oh, yeah, but she's not going to be happy to hear me after a month or after 2 weeks or after 8 days. You know, I didn't even call back, you know. So he already has that shame and fear. He's not going to call you. So many times there could have been a potential relationship. He's just afraid. So you're just giving a subtle message with your texting, sending a picture, letting him know you're happy, you're not mad at him. And, you know, you might ask him a question, like, let's say he's a good tax advisor. You know, I was thinking about doing taxes. Maybe we could talk sometime. You could tell me what to do with this. Lean on him for something. Or, hey, you know, we had such a good time and I thought, I'm moving, I need some boxes moved. Would you help me? Anything you can do to sort of not punishing him, but invite him into your life. And you could also say, hey, you know, sometimes you want to have lunch, come by my house, you know, I'll make you a lunch. Just some light touch, feather touch, not needy. And you can't come across not needy if you're not getting those other needs met. That's first thing. But 2, send him pictures, let him know you're not mad at him. And without trying to get him back.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gray. You were amazing, and this was perfect. And just quick sentence, where can people, what is the best way that people can reach out to you? And you have you have a teaching academy. You have so many things to offer. So just say, how can people reach out to you?
Well, there's marsvenus.com and lots of 100 free videos there of me on all topics. Then there's there's John Gray Mars Venus at Facebook. I have lots of videos there. I just finished a 6-week class that you were part of, where I did a video every day during the week. That was really wonderful. You can find me on YouTube as well, but my website, marsvenus.com, check it out. And something we wanted to talk about we didn't get to is all my nutritional support, helping people have healthy bodies, better sleep, better libido, better mood. There's a lot of nutritional things that we can do. And they can check out the store at marsvenus.com. And there's little videos of everything you would find in a health food store to help you with different issues that you might have. And I want to thank you so much for inviting me again. Let's do it again. And
many regards.
One other thing. And anybody wants to become a Mars Venus coach, we have a 1-year online program. They can go to Mars Venus Coaching. So there's so much there for women who have difficulty in relationships. My daughter Lauren, 34 years old, she has a class for women that you can go up to our academy and find out that. So thank you so much that people can learn from us.
Great.
Happy to share it with you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I'm sending you so many regards from all of us.
Thank you.